Hello, great to see you. This morning, or it may be another time wherever you are, but here in the north of England it's this morning. We're going to just dip our toes into forgiveness meditation practice, and I'd like to acknowledge the mindful.org. It's a magazine, very good articles and practices in there. And just take a comfortable position, and we'll begin with one of the many Buddhist stories which are extremely perceptive in the message they give. This is two monks were walking down the road. Sounds like an introduction to a joke. Two monks were walking down the road. They arrived at a muddy stream, very muddy stream crossing, and there was a well-dressed woman there, and she said, "Well, don't just stand there, someone carry me across this muddy mess." And without pausing, the older monk lifted her up and carried her across the muddy stream. And she went on her way without a word to him. And then the two monks walked on, and all day they were walking. And that whole time, the younger monk was stewing about this in his mind. How could he pick her up? We're not supposed to touch women. And she was so rude. And she needs to be told to speak to people properly. She didn't deserve his help. And this went on all day until at last they arrived at the inn where they were staying for the night. And the young monk couldn't keep his feelings in anymore. And he said to the older monk, "What were you thinking? What a horrible, rude woman. She was nasty and you broke our rules. And she didn't even say thank you." And the older monk smiled and replied, "Oh, I put that woman down hours ago, but you've still been carrying her all that time." So it's a very good story about how we continue to carry the hurts that have been done to us. So how can we learn from this story in real life? We do make mistakes, others make mistakes. We do things to others, others do things to us. Sometimes they can be quite trivial, and sometimes they can be truly traumatic. So when things have been done to us, or we've done to others, what we do is we add to our suffering, our anger, our blame, and that is like a second arrow that has been struck after the first arrow of the original hurt. So we add more suffering by how we react to it. It's very understandable, but this is a kind of analysis of what goes on inside of us. And so we add more suffering. And what is forgiveness? What is it not? Forgiveness is not condoning bad behaviour. It's not saying it was okay. It was not okay. But we often give ourselves a very hard time for a long time about what has happened. And sometimes even for things that were beyond our control, sometimes from decades ago. So forgiveness means yes, we make amends where we can, but we let go of the extra baggage of the second arrow. We give ourselves the same benefit of the doubt we would give a dear friend. And similarly, we often allow someone else to influence our lives long after they've gone. And this again, it's very understandable. But you can carry on stewing about someone's bad behaviour long after the event, and therefore ruin your own experience now because you cannot let go. Anger and resentment can simmer. You know, in a small way, maybe a bad driver cut you up on the way to work, and that is now ruining your coffee break because you're still angry about it. And maybe your whole life is tinged with bitterness, anger and resentment about something that happened a very long time ago. And this, you know, it's very important that we acknowledge this is not about dismissing it, minimizing it. It's not about minimizing the hurt or the damage that was done to you. No, not at all. But it is about developing compassion towards yourself, or you will continue to suffer. So, without addressing these things, we will continue to suffer the second arrow of all of the hurt and the anger and bitterness and resentment, which comes on top of the first arrow of what was done. So there is a meditation practice to foster forgiveness towards ourselves and towards others, which we'll do together now. So find a comfortable posture, either seated, or you might want to lay on the floor or on the bed, just where you feel comfortable, or your usual meditation posture. And bring your attention to your breathing. Note how you're feeling right now, or how you're thinking, but without judgment, simply following the rise and fall of your breath. Now, picture something that comes to mind that you judge yourself for. Maybe something you feel regret, sadness, irritation. Notice how it feels to bring it to mind. Something you're not happy about that you did or said. And then focus on these three phrases in a way that sets your intention. Because nobody says that you can or have to let go of your hurt straight away or let go of your guilt. This is a process that we have to be gentle with ourselves about and take it gently and easily. So we're setting the intention by focusing on these three phrases. I forgive myself for not understanding. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing pain and suffering to myself and others. And now just bring your attention back to those phrases. You can repeat them after me if you wish. I forgive myself for not understanding. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing pain and suffering to myself and to others. Sometimes it can feel too painful, and if so, just come back to focus on your in-breath and your out-breath. And settle. Let yourself settle. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. And come back to the breath. The in-breath and the out-breath. Sometimes it's quite good to think, on the in-breath, think of the words I forgive, and on the out-breath, myself. On the in-breath, I forgive. On the out-breath, myself. And you know, our mind naturally holds on to wherever we feel we've been mistreated by others. You may have been treated in a way that was entirely wrong, even very traumatically. And at the same time, without condoning what was done in any way, it was not okay. But we can practice avoiding the second arrow of the suffering of our anger and bitterness by focusing on these phrases. I forgive you for not understanding. I forgive you for making mistakes. I forgive you for causing pain and suffering to me and to others. If this feels too much for you right now, then focus back onto your breathing as your anchor. The in-breath, the out-breath just as it is. we're practicing letting go of adding resentment and anger to already painful situations, because we carry that with us in our bodies all our lives, and it doesn't really do us any good. So this is a great act of compassion, self-compassion, to do this practice. Not to force it in any way. Be very, very gentle with yourself, and don't force yourself to do anything you're not ready to do. You can say, I know that I'm feeling resistance to this, but it's a practice that I can continue. And it can have wonderful benefits, a kind of liberation to your heart. So let's focus again on these phrases, and you can repeat them after me if you wish. And I suppose we're talking to those who we feel hurt us so badly. I forgive you for not understanding. I forgive you for making mistakes. I forgive you for causing pain and suffering to me and to others. And just come back to your breathing as your anchor, however it is. You don't need to change your breathing in any way. Just totally accept how you are at this moment. We're practicing letting go of the added resentment, bitterness and anger that we've added on to already painful situations. And instead, we're making the intention to focus on compassion for yourself instead. That's a massively important shift away from hatred, anger, bitterness, onto compassion for yourself. It's time. It's really time to bring your inner child back into your arms. Should never be alone again. Joining yourself up, retrieving the parts of your lost soul that have maybe been sheared off when you've been so badly, badly hurt. Now all that we have is compassion and love for ourselves, forgiveness for ourselves and for others. This is the way now. This practice can be quite challenging, so just notice and accept what you're feeling now, whatever it is. And in each in-breath, notice what you're feeling now and accept it. And on each out-breath, as you would for a friend, offer yourself compassion, freedom, strength, loving support. So take a deep breath in. This is how I'm feeling and I accept it. Breathe out, offering yourself compassion, freedom, strength, loving support. Take a deep breath in. This is how I'm feeling now, and I accept this. Take an out breath, let it go. And as you would for a friend, offering compassion, strength, freedom, loving support to yourself. Just let the shoulders go down. Relax the roots of your hair. Relax the muscles around your eyes. Relax your jaw. Let all tension and suffering just flow out of you, out of your fingers and toes into the earth. Let it go, let it go, let it go. So forgiveness doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean not taking action. It doesn't mean standing down when we need to protect ourselves or others from harm. And that might mean pausing, settling our minds, trying to give ourselves time to think about things, see as clearly as possible before we take skillful action as appropriate. However, continue to practice this forgiveness meditation over and over again, letting go of whatever holds you back. Blessings to you. Namaste. May all beings live in peace. May all beings live in harmony. May all beings live in peace and harmony. And this has been quite a challenging meditation, but it's such a wonderful key to personal liberation, happiness and joy, inner peace, when it's ready to come. So do take it easy. Look after yourself, especially for the rest of the day. Namaste, friends.